it's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Monday, December 4th. So today we have the moon in Virgo all day. It's a good reminder that I put out there that Mercury actually rules over the Virgo energy, but Virgo energy is actually an earth sign. Mercury, of course, air energy, earth sign, the furthest element away. This is very much why this is a mind over matter type of energy. What we focus on, what we kind of allow to take up the time, the energy, the space in our mental plane is essentially what it is that we will be bringing into fruition, into reality, into manifestation. That's why we have to be very, very careful with our thoughts. Now, outside of the mind over matter thing, Virgo energy is the problem solver of the zodiac, which means that we really have to be focused on the problem areas of our lives in order to come up with a solution on how it is that we're going to fix, heal, or repair it. Yes, it can feel like a little bit of a Debbie Downer, constantly focused on the problem areas, constantly focused on identifying what isn't working for us and trying to come up with solutions on what would. But at the same time, we have tunnel vision. There is nothing more we enjoy in this Virgo energy than to pick things apart, really break things down to its most minimal type of fraction in order for us to see what the big picture is actually made up of. We understand in Virgo energy that it's about our habits, what we do with our time and energy, what we are kind of solidifying as far as the routines, the schedules, those habits go with our mind, with our body, with our soul. Virgo energy, very focused on healing the physical body by doing so in the mind space. So there's definitely a lot going on. We do have a high probability of kind of picking ourselves apart, beating ourselves down. All of this is really just helping us to build ourselves back up in a much stronger, much more empowered kind of way. So there's all of these inner workings going on in our mental plane, and we're making these adjustments in our heart space accordingly. Now, there are 10 different aspects here today. 8 of them are going to involve the moon. One of them that does not involve the moon is going to involve Venus, because of course Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, and money, she's giving up her throne, her rulership, her place of power that she's been in the Libran energy, and she's doing a deep dive in the very deep, dark, probing, emotional waters of Scorpio energy. Now, if you haven't listened to the astro forecast that I put out there for this particular event, I'm going to recommend you do so. If you haven't downloaded your zodiac forecast for the month of December, I'm going to recommend you do that so that you can understand where Venus moving through Scorpio energy is going to be showing up in your life. It's a very intense transit. It's going to peel back the hidden layers on a lot of the different details that we have been confused about, that we've been lacking in life. It is definitely going to create a lot of heart activations. Go ahead, listen to this week's ascension forecast if you haven't done so already, because we go through the highs and lows and how that particular heart activation can manifest in the physical body. So with that being said, the moon in Virgo is going to be making a very uncomfortable interaction with Chiron, the wounded healer, who of course is retrograde in Aries energy. This Chiron retrograde in Aries energy is the underlying foundation of why we're going through this quote unquote identity crisis / identity branding. I prefer to call it a rebranding versus a crisis, because a crisis sounds like we're scrambling, like we're just, at the end of our rope, like we're just down in this deep, dark pit. And sometimes, yes, we are, in order to build ourselves up in a better way. But realistically, we are doing a whole hell of a lot of healing work in order for us to kind of evolve in our emotions, in our mentality, in our physical body, in our spirituality. And so as we kind of push ourselves to be better, to improve, to really reach new levels of awareness, we're definitely accessing different parts of self. So of course, the moon being in this Virgo energy wants to do a deep dive in our mental plane. We want to take a good look at our mental health. We want to take a good look at our inner dialogue, what it is that we could be doing better, where it is that we could be kind of improving on encouraging ourselves, being kinder to ourselves, taking care of ourselves in a way that we haven't been doing. And so, yes, this is going to kind of trigger and activate some of those pains and traumas and wounds. But again, we have to identify the problem in order for us to fix it. The moon is then going to sit directly across from Saturn. Saturn is the lord of karma. He rules over roles, responsibilities, systems, structures, foundations, willpower, discipline. And of course, he is in a forward motion now in this Pisces energy, really showing us where we have a new belief system, where we have to test the waters of this new belief system, especially where bringing new visions, new dreams to life. We need a plan. We need a blueprint to build the foundation, the structure that these dreams, these beliefs are going to be housed upon. Even more than that, we have a new level of willpower, discipline within us that we are trying to put forth. Now, the moon sitting across from, directly opposing Saturn, definitely going to put us at odds within ourselves. Now, let's just talk about the fact that Virgo energy, Pisces energy, they sit across from each other in the zodiac wheel. They represent the axis of healing. Virgo energy, very concentrated on this physical realm, where the mental health is concerned and the physical body is concerned. Well, the Pisces energy is more about our emotions and spirituality, a lot of karmic pain and trauma that we are actively taking action upon, trying to heal, trying to evolve, trying to push us into a level of empowerment. So emotionally speaking, we may feel the weight of the world on our shoulders at this time because a lot of things are changing for us, because we're going through this identity rebranding, because we are in an experimental phase, being in Sag season as we approach the solstice, locking in version of self, locking in soul contracts, timelines that come with that. We really need to take a good look at what it is that we're trying to do here. We may have a bigger, greater, grander picture of what that goal looks like, what that vision, what that dream looks like. But of course, if we don't concentrate on the smaller details on how we're going to bring this to life, it will never be born. So emotionally speaking, we do feel a little bit of pressure. We feel a little bit overwhelmed here because we don't know where to start. We don't know what it is that we need to be doing in order to actually initiate this new chapter of learning, this new chapter of creation. And so we are kind of dealing with the problematic areas of where it is that we're feeling overwhelmed, where it is that we aren't feeling as equipped or well prepared to kind of dive into these new roles and responsibilities. But even more than that, we have to take a deep dive in our headspace and in our heart space to really examine why it is that we're having this type of reaction or resistance to really putting forth new energy into our lives, into our belief system, into what is possible for us if we were just to get out of our own head, stop picking ourselves apart and beating ourselves up and down, and really kind of anchor in to what needs to be built first and foremost. I always like to use the analogy of building a house. You need to start with a proper structure, a very strong foundation, or else this beautiful house, this ideal picture and vision when it comes to life will crumble, will collapse if it was not built correctly, if it did not have the right structure and form for this house to be built upon. So now we're starting to go back to the blueprint, so to speak, and really focus in on the finer details on where it is that we are bossing up, where we are prepared to build something new, and where we just need to get a better lay of the land to understand where the starting point needs our time, energy, and attention. The moon is then going to trine, beautiful interaction, with Mercury. Okay, so Mercury is now in Capricorn energy, in Earth energy, and Virgo energy is in Earth energy. This is what gives us our trine. Our trine is a good energy. It means that there is a gentle nudge in the right direction, a lot of growth, a little bit of healing, a lot of progress that is happening without a lot of energy, a lot of effort. First of all, the moon being our emotional space, our heart space, if you will, Mercury being our head space, when these two are getting along, are in alignment, you best believe that all is right in our inner realm, emotionally speaking and logically speaking, Mercury, we are grounded, we are logical, we are practical in the approach that we have to this new vision, to this new dream. Again, that's what earth energies do. They ground us out, they anchor us, they show us where it is that we have to slow ourselves down to think about the smaller, finer details on what it is that we're trying to build, give ourselves a little bit of time to kind of sort through the, I'm going to say, variables of our energy, of our action, the outcome that we're actually trying to tweak in our favor. And you best believe that this is an aha moment, an epiphany between our heart and head, definitely gaining a little bit of clarity that we've definitely been lacking over these last couple of months. The moon then going to interact with Pluto. We love this. Pluto and Virgo energy work very well together. Pluto does a deep dive in the deepest, darkest parts of our psyche. That is where the human conditioning, the human programming is alive and well. That's why we have to kind of do a deep dive within ourselves to figure out why we think the way that we do, why we feel the way that we do, why we act, behave the way that we do, understanding the patterns, the programs, and therefore giving us an opportunity to rewrite those less favorable ones. The moon interacting with the great transformer himself is a shift in our mood, in our attitude. It is showing us solutions to some of the problems. It's showing us an empowered state of this emotional stance that we have to be in. It is intensifying the inner work needed, the inner reflection needed, of course, to examine the areas of concern. Again, identifying the problem so that we can flip the script and come up with a really good solution. The moon is then going to trine, again, another beautiful interaction with Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet of growth, expansion, beliefs, abundance, and blessings. He's retrograde in this Taurus energy, so there's a lot of inner growth. There's a lot of inner glow up, if you will, realizing where it is that we've done the work, where it is that we've reached a certain point of healing, where it is that we're now trying to kind of conjure up a new vision, a new dream of the options and opportunities that we now want to go out in the world and kind of create for ourselves. So the moon interacting with Jupiter, first of all, Jupiter magnifies whatever it is that we're thinking and feeling. And lucky for us, this is a trine, which is a beautiful interaction, which means that we are feeling very hopeful, very optimistic, super confident about what it is that we're learning about ourselves, about what it is that we want to do, what it is that we're being called to pursue, what it is that we want to actually create in our lives. And emotionally speaking, we are realizing where the growth, where the healing has taken place. And we're kind of giving ourselves a little bit of a pat on the back, so to speak, as far as recognizing how far we've come, what a good job that we've done, and where it is that we've opened ourselves up now to a new version of self, and therefore new opportunities to create something new in this new realm, in this new reality. 1:51 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have Venus on the move. This is when she is leaving her rulership and diving into Scorpio energy. So again, listen to all the forecasts, listen to your zodiac forecast, bust out your Sagittarius season e-guide, really capture what's going on in your emotional realm as far as your relationships go, your self-worth goes, your inner values go. This is going to be a very revealing time. And it's going to be very intense, so it would be very highly recommended that you capture how you're thinking and feeling coming into this transit in comparison to when this transit ends. The moon is then going to get into the boxing ring and square off with Mars. Okay, so Mars is the god of war. He rules over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, our desires, even our anger. Mars is in Sagittarius energy, which is a fire sign that works very well for him. He wants to take action on the big ideas in which he's having. He wants to really push himself forward, aggress himself in the world, in the path that is going to get him to his hopes, his wishes, his desires. He's been a little bit frustrated in this Sagittarius energy. We haven't had a whole lot of opportunity to make big moves, to really have these big visions, these ideas that we can take action upon. So he is kind of getting a little bit agitated, so to speak. But the moon getting into the boxing ring and squaring off with Mars is going to illuminate for us where it is that emotionally speaking, we're not inspired. We're not motivated. We're not passionate. We don't really know if we have any desires. We know we have a lot of irritation and agitation and frustration and anger within us. Those are very apparent. And it is due to this conflict, this tension that gets created in a square, where it is that we have to focus on those heavier thoughts and emotions in order to create something new, something better, something lighter out of them. So again, analyzing, why are we angry? Why do we feel frustrated? Why do we feel held back and restricted? Why are we feeling uninspired? Why are we unmotivated? Really doing a deep dive within yourself. Figuring this out is going to lead you to solutions and have you kind of on a path building towards something that will get you away from these aspects that are really keeping you held back and kind of held down. The moon is then going to interact with the true node, and this is definitely not going to feel good, but this is necessary. The true node, of course, in Aries energy, we are really seeing where it is that we have to get on the right path, where we can be more of an individual, where we can be a little bit more aggressive in taking the leadership role and doing what is right for us. We do have to kind of get on this new path, so to speak. But right now, because this isn't the best interaction, we're stepping back. We're not seeing the opportunity to move forward. We're not seeing the opportunity to take steps in the right direction. Instead, we're seeing where the blockages are. We're seeing where the obstacles are. We're seeing where we're challenged in breaking away from the path in which we've been walking in order to kind of dabble in this new foreign territory. Again, we're in Sagittarius season, a time for exploration, a time for discovery, a time for learning. This is a time where, again, we're anchored, we're kind of rooted, grounded, if you will, in our emotions because of this Virgo energy, and our minds are just spinning, recognizing where there's problems in order for us to solve them. The moon is then going to interact with Chiron again, this time in a much better way. So we're not sitting in the pain and the trauma. We're not sitting in the problems. What we're doing here is we're having an aha moment, an epiphany, where we're coming up with solutions. Now we're starting to build ourselves back up again. We're starting to see where it is that the wounds, maybe in our mental plane, how it is that we see ourselves, how it is that we talk about ourselves, how it is that we just kind of narrate the lives in which we're living, and where it is that we need to adopt a better narrative, more supportive one, more loving one, more kind of sensitive one, other than the harshness that many of us kind of put on ourselves, beating ourselves down, being very highly critical, super judgmental. This is a huge amount of growth. This is a realization on where it is that, guess what? I don't have to treat myself this way. I don't have to think this way. I can really push the boundaries. I can flip the script on this, and we're doing that. We are releasing a lot of the heavier weight of emotions and thoughts that we've been experiencing throughout the day. And because of this, we are seeing a different version of ourselves from a different set of eyes. Now, the last thing that we have going on here today is an interesting dynamic, definitely going to put a lot of pep in our step. The sun in this Sagittarius energy going to be making a very positive interaction with Jupiter, who happens to be in his rulership over this Sagittarius season. This particular interaction is going to just kind of glow us up, blow us up, inflate us as far as self-worth goes, as far as confidence goes. It is going to show us where it is that we have a new motivation, even if we're using those dark forces, those obstacles, those challenges, those not so nice aspects of our current circumstances as the fuel to our fire to get our heart and ass lit up so that we can make some moves. This is a motivation. This is a trigger, an activation on where it is that we want to improve, where we want to do better, what it is that we want to grow upon, what it is that we want to build, what it is that we want to create. We have a vision, we have an inspiration. It may not be super clear, but it's enough to kind of bring us out of the dark pit that we've been in and really put us on a path to start percolating on how it is that we're thinking and feeling about some of these things that actually bring an element of excitement back to our lives. So the only thing that I'm going to say about this is that because we are experimenting with this new version of self, we could actually find ourselves in a little bit of fakeness where we feel like we're open to change, but we're kind of, I'm going to say, faking it until we make it, so to speak. Now, that's not a bad tactic to use if you're really resisting some of the changes that you know that you need to make. But at the same time, we want to be as real and raw and authentic as possible. So although we should be excited about making some of these changes, if you're actually not feeling it, it's important to recognize that part of self as well. Whichever the case, this is really pushing us in an encouraging way to kind of see what's going on in our own lives and the world around us from the most positive light possible. This is an opportunity for us to pluck out the silver lining, so to speak, to take a very bad or ugly situation and just turn it in the most positive light possible. This is going to be a great time to see an illumination of patterns and behaviors that are constantly keeping us stuck in looping situations and scenarios. We can kind of examine that because, again, the moon in the background in Virgo energy wants to examine where it is that we're doing the same old thing, expecting a different result. And again, that is the absolute definition of insanity. And so we have to really see where it is that these looping patterns are keeping us in a holding pattern so that, again, we can identify that as a problem, as an issue, and we can work very hard to kind of override that and kind of solve it. So we're definitely going to be in a better mood, a great attitude, a more, I'm going to say, optimistic point of view at the end of the day, and especially setting ourselves up to move into Tuesday, where, of course, we're going to feel the pressure of that last quarter moon taking place in this Virgo energy and the intensity of Neptune ready to go direct.